Alright, I want to show you these really cool blocks. These are magic blocks, and they are really magic. You can heat them up with your heat gun. It has to be a heat gun. It can't be a blow dryer because you have to get it hotter than a blow dryer will get. You heat them up, and then you press them onto things like stencils, which is what I did here. You can press them onto keys. This is a stamp. This was a stencil. Yeah, so you can do all kinds of things, but you can also paint with them. So I'm going to start there because I want to make an interesting little background. So I'll take my little paper, and then I've got some media acrylic paints, which are pure pigment, and they do the coolest thing. They will make like a swirly technique on your surface if you load the little block right. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then what's really neat about these is they don't dry like regular paints. Regular paints tend to feel really chalky and gritty. These feel really, really slick and smooth. They have just a teeny itty bitty bit of sheen. They're wonderful. So I'm going to take my sponge, my block, and I've got my paint. Let me grab it and get it over here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop paint on the edge, and if I could find my paper towel. And then I'm going to drop a mix next to it. Then I'll drop the next color next to it. And I'm just mixing with some white. And this is all in the media line. And you want it right on the edge. And you want it kind of a lot. Oops. Hi. Okay. Rinse that out. And you can take your paper and say I just want to go across. And then I can reload if I want to, but I think that's kind of a pretty effect. I think I will reload one more time. Maybe with slightly a little bit more. I'm going to get all the way across that paper. Yeah, still some of this white. Okay. Keep your brushes cleaned as you're going, otherwise you're going to be sad when your brushes don't work anymore. Okay, so I think I'm going to come right over yonder and just complete my page. Nice. Okay, so that is a really neat and interesting background that you can cut, collage, do all kinds of things. But now let's go ahead and stamp a little bit. Oh, and then don't forget when you're doing this, I think I alluded to it. Let's see if I have enough paint left on the paper. Don't forget that you can also do a swirly bit. And you can also, I don't know that I do have paint for this left, you can also go through stencils. So then you can make a really cool effect layering like that. So there is like the world is your oyster, if you will. And then what you do is I just take a little bottle of water, and I'm going to show you right here. Squirt that, and then I just wipe my paint right on off. And if you feel really anal about it, you can take it to the sink and clean it up the rest of the way. Okay, so I'm on a heat mat so that I don't wreck my table and stuff like that, and that'll go up to like 500 degrees. And it's also non-stick, and it also cleans up with a snap, like in a snap. So these are super handy, especially if you're crafting at your, coffee table or your dining room table. So I'm going to do my heat gun one time. I've got a palette knife to keep it kind of where I want it. And I'm going to move the heat around. It needs to be evenly moved, about an inch from the surface. Make sure you're being careful and don't hurt yourself. Okay, and that'll get that plastic really smooth, work in a well-ventilated area. I haven't really noticed any scent from it, so I'm not super worried. Now I'm going to flip this over, and we had made a brick pattern using gesso on this multimedia project. So I'm just going to press that onto the product. So you are only limited by what you can think of to press this into. I've done sticks and leaves and paper and all kinds of things. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so, and then I'm kind of intrigued by this little gear over here, and I think I'm going to try multimediaing my stamp. So I'll hit it, and it'll erase. When I heat it back up, it will erase that area. However, by having different things braced in, and you really want to push down firmly. So now I've got brick and a gear. And then how about going up here and grabbing this little swirly bit? I don't want to erase all my bricks, so I'm going to heat up just in that one area. Let's see if I can capture that little swirly bit. Okay, so now I have a faint brick, and I've got some nice little swirly bits and things like that. I think we'll go over the top and see what some transparent white does. Translucent white. Okay, so I'm going to put my translucent white just here and there. I don't like it so much when I get it covered like perfectly. So I want to just kind of cover it slip slappy. And then let's go and see. Hey, that's kind of cool. Look at that. So you get this effect because it's translucent of a little bit. I didn't really get my brick detail in there very much. I would want to probably make a deeper brick and maybe intentionally rather than on this project. This project was made by just scraping the modeling paste over, but you can actually frost it through your stencil, then lift your stencil up and then let it dry. So you could make a series of little embossing plates just out of some cardboard. Cereal boxes make awesome, awesome, awesome things like that. So I could go again, maybe just in my little swirly bits areas, and I could stamp off and off, and you could really start building some interesting backgrounds. And zhonk, and zhonk. Yeah. Okay, so, and you can see that now, you know, you have a piece of material that you can then apply other things to that we can go, maybe we want to go with a little bit of our pink and just kind of swirl here and there, in and out. Through the stencil. Whoops. And once it starts moving, oh yeah, that's really cool. Look at that. So once it starts moving, you're toast, so you might as well just kind of get out of there. And then maybe we can go over with a little bit of intentionally placed, I don't want to cover, oops, hi. Hold things down. Key when you're doing stenciling. Okay, so yeah, we're starting to just really build a really beautiful background. You could do any number of techniques with that. Love it. Okay, I've got some Live, Love, Laugh stencils, and I don't know that I want to do all of them right there. I could. It's going to be kind of fun. I can move that one there, that one there, and just play around. And then maybe that one there. So here's what we'll do, is I've got some of my darker colors of the same line out. So I had started with quinacridone magenta, and I'm going into the violet color. So I'm going into the darker color, and I am going to hold this down, pretend like I have extra hands. And then what I'm going to do is on my reds, so that the words show up, I'm going to do my letter in the red. Oops, ran out of paint. Okay, now I'll go ahead and blot that off on my paper towel. And I'm going to go into phthalo turquoise on my blue, because that's just the most beautiful color in like the universe. And I'll go get a clean brush for my green, and I've got Viridian green. So just whatever darker green you've got. Fade that in. And then you could kind of fade into each of the colors next to you just a little bit so that they're not isolated. Okay, I'll pull that off. Oh, look how cool that is. That's awesome. Okay. And we've got our, I wonder if we want to love right on top and then laugh down at the bottom. Can't decide. Okay, let's just try it. So then once again we're holding down. So if you had a card, imagine how fun this would be to send this card to somebody. We'll go into our blues, fading over there to our thing, and I'll have to get, I like these little dome brushes because they're super cheap, and I can have a whole pile of them so I can move from color to color. I probably have about 30, maybe even more, but I like to go quickly. Don't like to poke around. Okay, and we'll go into our green. Now you can use hand sanitizer. Let's get that off a little bit more. You can use hand sanitizer to clean these, and then they're not wet as long as if you wash them in water. And then blend your colors back and forth. Yoop. Okay, this one didn't come out very dark, so I'll lay that back over. Maybe I didn't even do it. It's possible I didn't do it. Okay, and the other thing I love about these is that they dry almost instantly. Okay, now this one I feel like I need to have it even being just a little bit more contrasty. But maybe not. Maybe I'm feeling like it might need to be darker. Let's get out a little bit of our, we got a Lazy Susan with this stuff on there. Let's get out just a teeny bit of black, and we'll mix that with the colors, each of the colors. We'll just brush mix. So just a little brush mix of the blue and the black, and get that really strong. Okay, teeny bit of black with our dark red, maybe a little bit more. And then with our green, just a teeny bit, and I don't know that that's going to show if I get it too dark, so I'm not going to add but just a touch. I want it to still read green. Okay, let's see what we look like. Yeah, awesome. Okay, next the magic part. Let's make it disappear. Just heat it and watch it fade away. And then you can instantly, if you want to, go right on over something else. And you've got whatever your next thing is. Make it disappear. And go again. This is pretty magical. So I hope you enjoyed. Remember, you can go through stencils, you can go through little wood cutouts if you've got them laying around, tree branches. We used a pile of paper, spools, bobbins, thread, anything. Just anything you want, and you can use them over and over. And we've got a couple that have gotten, oh, and I did lace too. I don't know where my lace one is. That might have gone home with somebody else. But even as fine as lace stamps out really, really good. Here's some of my little examples. So that's an example of the lace that I did. And then, of course, the honeycomb. And I've got more laying around someplace, but I can't find them. Anyway, but if you forget to wash really well, you can still get the design out, but the shape of the butterfly is going to stay because the paint is still there. So, but it will flatten out. Now where this has gotten a little bit thick here, this has got gunked up paint, you might still leave a little bit of an impression, but that's perfectly flat now. But the next time I put paint over it, that will stick to whatever I've got there, and then it'll take care of itself in the end. So you do want to make sure, squirt them and wipe them off in between. They do stain a little bit. This one was cleaned, but it just stained, so, but that's not a problem. This one definitely just had paint left on it. So today I want to make some little bookmarks. I've got a piece of rock lawn, which is basically just drapery lining fabric. It is the blackout weight, and it's super cheap at Joann's. So I've just cut a strip, and then I heated it with my blow dryer to make it lay flat because I had it in a roll. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my magic blocks out because that's such a fun technique. And what magic blocks are is they are a really, really dense foam sponge that you can heat, and it will take the image of anything you press the heated side into. This was a stencil. This was some little butterfly findings. These were keys. This was a stamp. This was a stencil. I've done lace, done all kinds of things. So anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to take your heat gun. It's got to be a heat gun because blow dryers just don't get hot enough. And you heat it up. I use a palette knife to kind of keep it in place. About 1 inch for about 30 seconds. Not super long. Whoops, hi, I'm back. Don't melt all your other things. I've got a heat mat underneath. I'm going to press this on this project that has these gears. Okay, and now I've got a really nice gear shape. I don't know that I'm warm enough, so I'm going to go ahead and heat it up a little bit more. Trying not to hit that area that I had just pressed into this gear. Okay, ooh, that's a nice good. And that one softened up just a little bit. I'll do it one more time. So the magic about this is when you heat it back up, it disappears. So that's what makes these magical, is the fact that they disappear. Okay, and that's a nice gear. So now I'll try and get another one over here. Actually, I think I'm going to go snag some of these bricks down here. And they've just been put on with embossing paste. And so now I have a line, and I have a gear, and I have all kinds of things going on. So I've got that set up to use. And now I want to color my background. Well, so these are lovely for not only, let's get one without anything on it, for not only doing your stamping with, but it's also fantastic for painting with. So I'm going to put out some bright colors. I've got Quin Magenta. These are the Deco Art Media paints, and they are so phenomenal. Don't even get me started. I'm going to put out Cerulean Blue. You can use whatever other paints you have, but I do think that you're going to want to give these a try. And then I'm going to use translucent white in between the colors. I'll show you what this looks like in just a second. And one more for the green. Okay, so this is what this looks like on my palette. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scoop and apply a generous amount of paint. And then I'll come in here, I guess I could have just left that. Scoop and apply generous amount of paint. Same thing. Go into my white and make it a slight mix. You can use whatever colors you want. Go here with the mix, scoop and apply, make that slightly mixed. Wash your brush out, and then what I'm going to do, and I might have to do a couple passes with this, keeping in mind that a bookmark isn't very big. I could probably make like a whole sheet of these and then cut out my bookmarks. But for right now, what I want to do is just kind of create a really interesting effect. I like that. Okay, I think that's going to make a wonderful little tie-dye bookmark. Okay, the way you clean these things, these magic blocks, is you go ahead and you just squirt it with some water and wipe them off. It's as easy as that. And then you clean up your nonstick mat. This is a nonstick mat, and it is heat-proof and stick-proof. Like, stuff doesn't stick to it, it'll peel right off. So if you're painting at your dining room table and things like that, you probably want to get you one of these. And it's great for not letting this heat gun damage your surface. So I'm going to allow this to dry for just a second. Alright, so I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling before I move on to stamping. Studio R12 has this wonderful line of stencils that's 4x4 or 6x6, and they come with a little ring divider thingy, or not divider, but holder on our thingy. And they have all the backgrounds that you could ever want. There's just a jillion of them, and these are not all the ones that I have. But really lovely to be able to just have them all on a ring and know what you want to use. Okay, so maybe, do I want to do some hearts? I'm not thinking hearts right now. I'm thinking diamonds. So get our diamonds out and just kind of lay them over, and then we'll just go a little bit randomly into our colors, and maybe I'll do a little bit of the darker pink on my darker pink and see what that does. You can move it on down the road. That'll kind of blend them, but it'll give it a little bit of texture. Okay, and then maybe we want to go into our blue. Just wipe to blend those two colors together, and I'm not thinking the same exact thing. I'm thinking maybe let's try a little bit of a check. And maybe we'll just do a little bit of a check at the top and the bottom. I think that's kind of interesting. Just fade it just a little bit. Either side, that's kind of fun. Oh, I feel like I've got some of those like socks, you know, that just have wild colors and stuff like that. Then what if we did a little bit of polka dots? I'm going to a little bit of black and a little bit of Quin Violet on our violet color. Yeah. And I like to just rub across stencils because it makes it a little bit freer, not so stippled looking. Okay, I think that is just smashingly fun. I love it. And I think maybe some stars on the green. Let's find my little star. Oops, my star one is out. I've got a separate brush for that. And we'll just go into the white. I don't know how well that's going to show up because the white is transparent. Yeah, that shows. Let's get that lined up for the green. Okay, so now we have wild patterns, which is just too much fun. I'm going to let this dry for just a second. Okay, so now I think we're going to need a little bit of our lighter pink for this light area, and I'm going to go on this gear, and I'm just going to slip slap just a little bit around, and then I'll stamp that on. Okay, and that's not light enough, so I'll go into white, and I'll do it again. Okay, and I can see that just a little bit, so I'm not dissatisfied with that. Yeah, oh, that looks really, 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 really cool. Okay, now let's go grab some bricks, and let's do those in the dark blue. And so slip slapping is going to make it so it doesn't make a solid look. And we're just looking for layered texture. I like that. And we'll go grab a little bit of white again for the little gear. And that's too light over there. Get it over there. All right, awesome. And then the way we clean it, once again, just squirt with a little water and just wipe it off. Try to get it out of the shape by just pushing a little bit harder, because then you won't be confused by what is pressed in for the next time. We had some butterflies done, and the paint is just real thick in one area because we didn't clean it out. So this is smooth, and I can repress, but it's not going to do, it's going to confuse people when they're using it. So try not to do that. Okay, and then next, we're just going to take one of Studio R12's stencils, which are laying here on my table somewhere. And I think love is a good word. So let's just go right down the middle. Let's get a little bit of blue, a little bit of green, a little bit of all the colors. There. Okay, yeah, like that. And then we'll use our brush, and we'll go into a little bit of black mixed with the darker colors of those paints so that you can see it. And this is on fabric, so it's going to be a little bit more, a little bit weirder to do. And then I'll go into whatever color is going to be darker than the area I'm on. So I've gone backwards into the magenta. We can sneak a peek. Can you see it? I think we can see it. Magenta, sneaking into a little bit of the violet. And now we'll go into, with a dirty brush, into the blue, because that's going to be like a mixing area. And then here we'll go into phthalo turquoise. And maybe we'll mix that down over here just a little bit, so it's not so much. And on the edges of our green. And one more brush on with the green. And maybe a little bit of Viridian. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so now we've got a multi-colored love word, and let me cut it into a shape. I'm just using a little L square to make my lines, and I'm lining up the letters because it's see-through. I can make this nice and square. Okay, and I'll line up the tops of my letters. Do that as well. Okay, and now I'm just using a little scalloped ruler to make a little pattern. Sort of centered, not really. You could make it the more traditional shape, but I think the little bit of jazz is going to be kind of cute. Alright, next what you're going to want to do, I've got my shape cut out. You know, what a lovely little just thinking about you gift. I'm going to varnish both sides, and you can paint both sides as well. I'm going to varnish both sides with a couple of coats of whatever sheen varnish you want. And that will thicken this material up so that it acts like it's like cardboard or chipboard, that kind of thing. So you can actually make embellishments out of this, and they'll be nice and hard. You can use watercolor paper, I just didn't have any. And now I'm going to move this so that I'm not bathed in that varnish slosh right there. Let it dry, and then just put on more coats.